they was throwing a lot of mud on my name, and it was funny that it was unfortunate that people who I thought would have stood up for me didn't. People who know the work that I've done, and mind you, what the situation with the young lady, it happened over a decade ago, over a decade ago. At that time, and so when I ran for office, it was last year. So over a decade ago, they was using stuff from over a decade ago to.
So they dug that up.
Yes, I'm pretty sure somebody probably gave them that information. They ain't just
Somebody that know you.
somebody gave them that information, but it was over a decade ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
all you've been through, and then you get to that. Yeah.
yeah. All the positive stuff that I've done in my life, since that situation. They ain't talk about none of the good stuff about what I've done after that. Nothing.
But you know what? You hear this your platform right now to talk about some of the positive. I know you might not be able to remember every single thing and every single detail, but just give the people some of the work you've done outside of what you've already spoke to.
Right. I served on a lot of boards. I served on a lot of boards, in New Orleans, and just helping. I helped get legislation passed. Right. I helped. I think it might have was earlier this year. I helped Representative Delisha Boyd at the state capitol. We got a set aside bill passed. When folks were saying it can't get done, we helped get a bill passed through a Republican led House and a Republican led Senate. The votes on a House side, I think it was like 101-0. Not one person said no. On a Senate side, it was 37-0. And then we went from that to the governor signing. Also, in the city of New Orleans, help.
Can you tell what that bill?
So that bill allows the city of New Orleans to create a set aside program for small businesses, right? So, say for instance, if you are a small contractor, I'm a small contractor, we gonna compete. It allows us to compete against each other instead of competing against a larger prime contractor. So it shortens, it restricts the competition pool against only small businesses, and so helping, get that type of legislation passed.
That's amazing.
I built a lot of affordable housing in the city for a lot of families, and a lot of my affordable housing stuff is quality affordable housing. When you walk inside of it, you would never even look at it and say, "Oh, this affordable housing." So I built a lot of housing across the city that families are staying in, in the city.
That's a major that's a major problem. There's a lot. I've seen some slum property out there, and they asking for an arm and a leg. So I commend you for that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because I feel like, I always tell people a person's income shouldn't determine if they get an opportunity to stay in a quality affordable housing. I'm not going to build nothing that I know I wouldn't live in, or that I know I wouldn't let nobody in my family live in.
A lot of people don't think that way. So that's part of the condition of New Orleans right now. So right now, what's your active role in the community? Are you still New Orleans? You elsewhere?
Yeah, so I'm still involved in very different capacities in New Orleans, but I'm also involved in very different capacity in Houston. I've always had a interest in Houston. I've always had an interest in, Houston, been coming to Houston about the same time, like 98-ish. So I've always had an interest in Houston because it's a larger city. They have a better economy. And in Houston, they have 2.3 million people. 45% of its population is Hispanic. 24% is Caucasian. 23% is African American. And I think like 5% is other.
You just educated. It's more Mexican.
Not Mexican, Hispanic. So that includes every single thing. It's the most diverse city in America. And Houston, most people don't know this. Houston got almost 100,000 millionaires live in Houston. 100,000. Most people don't even know that. They got, that don't even include the 50 millionaires, the people who might have 100 million, and that don't even also include the billionaires that they have in Houston. So I was always interested in a place that have a large, city that have a great economy, got a diverse economy. So I've always been, interested in Houston, especially in its housing market, since that's when I'm in real estate.
Anything in particular you want to speak towards or speak on with everything? Yeah, you want to shed light on anything in New Orleans or Houston that may be beneficial to the people?
I think the main thing is just I tell people to stay, kind of passionate about whatever it is that you do, that you want, right? So I live by 3 P's in my life. I pray every day I get up. I persevere at anything that I want, and I have patience, right? So those 3 P's, I always tell people that you got to live by those 3 P's in your life. And so if you pray and ask the universe and ask God for whatever you want, you're gonna get it. And you can't second guess if it's gonna come to you or not, right? Because it's like you countering the energy that you're asking for. You asking for it, but then you worried that it's gonna happen. So it's like the positive energy that you put into the prayer or the acts that you ask in the universe, and then you doubting that it's gonna happen, they crossing each other out, right?
You building the wall.
And so the perseverance part about it is you got to get up every day and get at it, right? And so it's like prayer without work, or a dream without work is just a fantasy, So you got to get up and have the persistency every day and get up and get at it, right? And then you just got to have the patience for it because it don't happen on your time, but it's going to happen on time.
I think you're talking about it. In real life, though. Yeah, you talking about it. Like if we recorded some of our conversations about what we doing with the podcast, like I told you, we on 3 P's. And how many days we on? 20, 19 straight? 20, 19 days, 20 straight of being on here, either doing an interview, with one of the panel, doing an interview, we just did the interview with LG, doing your interview on live every night. Man, we be on live for sure. We was on live for 6 hours.
Right. It's just about the consistency in doing it. I always think about the Wallow 267, right? I just think about, I remember, just kind of watching his progression. And really think about it, dude just was just doing stuff. Yeah, he had the opportunity because Gilly, his cousin, where he had somebody who can kind of boost him early, but think about it. He still got up and was consistently doing that. Yeah, he had to put the work in, right? And so I think that anything in life, you got to just be consistently doing it because you'll never know who can open the door for you. You just never know. And it's only take that one yes, or that one opportunity, that one right person who can just help you skyrocket.
Just catapult everything you got going. Man. But look, bro, we ain't gonna hold you long. Again, if you have anything else you want to expound on, you want to talk about, you want to get off the chest, you want to clear the air, because me and you, we talk on Instagram.
Right.
When I'm not in Instagram jail.
Right.
Which I am. Somebody keep reporting my page, bro. Mine too, though. You locked up too? Yeah. All right, so you're dealing with 2 people that's locked up on social media right now.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. Only on social media.
Yeah. Right. I think the most important thing, like, right, I keep, we in the political season, like with the presidential stuff, right? And I just think that it's important right now for us to really kind of get the facts, kind of straight and understand like what is at stake, right? And so I'm not telling people to vote for either Kamala or Trump, even though I'm a leader still in the Democratic Party. I just want people to really understand and have an educational component, right? And folks saying that they done, well under Trump with the pandemic and the checks and all that, but he didn't do that. So think about President Obama when he was in office, and he just happened to go out of office, and Congress, passed legislation, both House and Senate. And if folks don't remember that, when President Obama went out, Donald Trump was coming into office. The Treasury held up the checks, and he, because they know my new boss is coming in, he held up the checks and waited so he could have his signature on all those checks, that was going out. All that PPP stuff, all that stuff was enacted by Congress. And I wish that more, sometime in the Black community, people like, oh, he got that PPP. You're supposed to get the PPP. That's what it's for. That was your tax dollar. That was your money. It was there to spur the economy. That's what the money was there for.
They gave us our money back.
They, you know, so think about a lot of the large companies who took advantage of it. I'm talking about billionaires, and their companies took advantage of it. That's what that PPP money, you know, was there for. But I just want, you know, folks to really have an understanding about, you know, some of the stuff that, you know, Trump did. It was, yeah, one of the things that I can say that he did that probably helped, you know, most of the large businesses was the taxes that he rammed through. You know, but if you think about the Supreme Court that he appointed and the people that he got on there, they are attacking affirmative action. You know, so kids who used to can go to Harvard, you know, now they call it diversity, equity, and inclusion. All that stuff is under attack right now.
They can be denied just because they black.
Just because of that, you know, so companies and a lot of that stuff and people, you know, and so I just want our folks to just be educated, you know, on that when they talking about Trump did this. Trump didn't do none of that. Trump did and yeah, he encouraged racism. He encouraged racism because that's when folks like the Proud Boys and all them were coming out.